Hello and welcome to this webinar about the Masters in Engineering Management for Process Excellence. In this webinar, I'd like to introduce you to the University of Strathclyde, to our Faculty of Engineering, our department, and the course, and tell you a little bit about the purpose of the course, the structure of the course, and what you could expect if you come to study with us. So let's start off with the University of Strathclyde. University of Strathclyde is based in the centre of Glasgow, so it's handy for all the things that are happening in this big city. It's home to around 22,000 students, University of Strathclyde. And we're based in the Faculty of Engineering. So the Faculty of Engineering has around 4,000 students in total. And we're one of the biggest, the largest, the best equipped engineering faculties. And we have lots of world-class research and lots of world-class facilities. And then we'd like to welcome you to our department, the Department of Design, Manufacture and Engineering Management. And we see ourselves as the only department in the whole of the UK where we're looking at the end-to-end expertise starting from design right through engineering design into manufacture and management of the entire system. So really it's total engineering we're looking at. In our department, we have around just under 500 students in total. And you're looking at the master's programme, which is the postgraduate programme. And within that, we have around 87 students in total across a number of top programmes. We've also got around about 70 PhD students who are also postgraduate students within the department. In terms of staffing, we have got 23 academic staff, we've got 6 teaching only staff, and we have around 25 research associates and people who are involved with knowledge exchange. That's about engaging with industry. And we've also got about 14 administrative, technical and support staff. So that's our department. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Master's programme itself. And the Master's programme that we're looking at today is Engineering Management for Process Excellence. And for this programme, you can either study it all the way through to a Master of Science, an MSc, or you could do a PG DIP, Postgraduate Diploma, which is where you don't do your final thesis, your final project. Or you could also exit with a PG cert, a postgraduate certificate. So let me tell you a little bit more about each of these. But let's start off by asking, what do we mean by engineering management for process excellence? Well, my name is Jill McBride and I'm a professor of engineering management, and my area of expertise is innovation and operations management. So a lot of the work that I do is helping organisations to improve their processes, to try and improve their business. In order to improve their processes, we need to look at improving, it might be about improving the activities within the process, it might be about looking at equipment, it might be people, it might actually just be about making the process more efficient or more effective. And to do all these things, you need a set of skills that is able to balance working with people, managing change, and powers of analysis. So this is where the engineering management skills come in. So really, this course is setting you up to help organisations of all sorts to improve their business. Now, largely we focus on engineering, organisations that are involved in engineering, so manufacturing businesses, service businesses around engineering, but that doesn't preclude careers in other areas. So for example, I've recently just been doing some process improvement with the UK police. So there's lots of opportunities even beyond the scope of engineering organisations. Okay, so I said you could study this course to a number of different levels, and this slide really just outlines the difference. So the postgraduate certificate is where you're normally doing a number of the top modules, the core modules. Most students who come out with a PG certificate, very often they're doing it on a part-time basis, and they're picking up 60 credits to come out with a PG certificate. More commonly, students study the postgraduate diploma, which is the entire top programme, 120 credits of top modules. And this is normally done within an academic year, studying from around October, and teaching for this normally finishes early May. But the majority of students will stay on and study for the MSc, the Master of Science, and that's where you've got all your 120 credits of top modules, but you also then go on and do a master's dissertation, which in itself is worth 60 credits. So the top modules are completed October to May, and then the dissertation is finished off over the summer period from May till September. You would start the dissertation earlier, but a lot of the actual work would be done after the top modules are out the way. So what would you study? So as I've just said, you would do a number of top modules, plus you would have a dissertation. Now for this particular programme, Engineering Management for Process Excellence, this is how it's made up. So there's 70 classes that we would call core, and the core classes essentially are compulsory classes. And these are classes that we think are important for somebody who is going to come out and actually bring about change in processes in organisations. So I'll tell you a little bit about them in the next slide. But for the moment, it's enough to say that you would do these 70 compulsory classes, and then you would get to choose one elective class. So that might be something that interests you particularly, or it might be something that you think is of interest to you. So not all the people who are on the programme would do the same elective as you, and you might find yourself in the elective classes where there's people from other programmes studying that elective class. So again, it's a way to meet other people out with your own cohort doing the Masters in Engineering Management and Process Excellence. So between the core classes and the elective classes, that gives you 80 credits. And the other 40 credits, top credits, would come from your industrial group project. The department prides itself that all our students get real life industrial experience. Everybody gets to work with industry during the course. One way that we do that is through the industrial group project, where you would normally be working with a group of students for a real life client. So in effect, you're working as a consultant. And the industrial group project is challenging, it's fun, it gives you an opportunity to work with people from different backgrounds. And as I say, it gives you real industry experience, which is great for your CV and great when you're looking for jobs. So having completed these 70, 10 and 40, 120 credits, you would then go on and do, if you're going to go do the Masters, you would do your MSc dissertation. Now your dissertation is something that you work on an individual basis, and it's over a good number of months. So you need to choose a dissertation that you're enthusiastic about. And the department gives you some suggestions, but we're also open to you designing your own dissertation. So that's the overall programme structure. Now let's take a quick look at some of the core classes. Okay, so core classes. So you can see on this slide the core classes, and I'm going to start with supply chain operations. Now, supply chain is important in nearly all organisations. There's very few organisations these days that don't have a supply chain, that are not buying in goods to help make their products or their services. And there's certainly very few who are not selling on to people beyond their own boundaries. So supply chain is important. And in this class, we look at who are the players in the supply chain and how do you run a smooth supply chain that's efficient and that's effective. We look at issues such as working internationally and some of the challenges and the benefits from having international supply chains. Now, the second module on this list is project management. And project management, I think, is a skill that anybody working in business should be aware of. So in the project management class, we give you some of the skills to help manage budgets, to manage timeframes, and to manage quality, which are three key areas that any project manager needs to look after. Now, you're not necessarily going to go into a project management job, but I would say any person that's managing resources of any type needs to have some project management skills. A little bit more detailed now, the third module, Enterprise Resource Planning, looks specifically at how organisations these days plan their activities and plan around their supply chain, the goods coming in, the work that needs to be done, using computer systems and software. So within Enterprise Resource Planning, we'll look at the basic the processes around ERP, as we call it, and we'll also look at some of the software. So you might well have heard of systems such as SAP, Oracle, and so on. So we'll take a look at some of these that are used commonly in organisations. Now, if you're wanting to improve your processes, then obviously quality and improvement are big important areas. So the class Management of Total Quality and Continuous Improvement does exactly what it says in the tin. We're looking at how do we improve quality within our organisation, and that might be quality of product, it might be quality within the processes themselves. And we also look at how do we encourage people within our organisations to look for improvement as part of their everyday jobs. So again, a very valuable module with good learning that you can use no matter where you end up in your future career. A bit more specific is Fundamentals of Lean Six Sigma, and you may well have heard of these terms before. Lean, the lean approach, where you actually try to understand what your customer values and understand your activities that create that value. And you're always looking with lean, you're looking for how do you eliminate waste, such as duplication and repetition and excess material and so on. So with lean is very important in improvement initiatives. And Six Sigma is another approach that you may well have heard of. And Six Sigma is another improvement tool which is very structured, that uses quantitative analysis. So in this class, we're putting them together and looking at Lean Six Sigma. So how do we improve our organisations using some of these tools? Now, management of innovation. Now, this is my own area, so I'm enthusiastic about innovation. We always need to be looking about improvement, but we're also looking at perhaps innovating not just our products, which are important for many organisations, but we also want to be improving perhaps our processes, or maybe even our business models. We might be actually looking at how we create value in different ways, serving different customers, or perhaps generating revenues in different ways. So the Management of Innovation class looks at that whole process, the process of innovating. And again, this is an area that lots of organisations these days are really looking for people to help them with. So that's a great class that gives you good skills that are very valuable in industry. So the Management of Innovation. And then last on this list of core classes, remember we said we were doing 70 credits here of core classes, is Performance Measurement and Management. Now, if you're trying to improve something, you always want to know, well, how will you know if you've improved if you've not measured something? So performance measurement to me is very important if you're embarking on a change initiative or a process improvement activity. So you measure what it looks like just now so that you understand, are you actually moving towards the changes that you want to achieve? And by measuring that, you'll know whether you've achieved them. So performance measurement and management looks at some ways of doing that. And again, there's a big human element in that class as well. So that's your core classes. So everybody that's doing the programme Engineering Management for Process Excellence will be together in these modules. And some of the modules, there'll also be people from some other courses within the department. But you've also got an elective class. So this is something that you can choose for yourself. And here's our list of elective classes that are suitable for Engineering Management for Process Excellence. Now I'm going to be enthusiastic about systems thinking and modelling because I take that class as well. And that's a class that really challenges you to think in a different way, that rather than just improving small areas of the business, it helps you think about how areas are intertwined and how perhaps changing one area of the business might have an effect on another area further down the line. So systems thinking and modelling is very much a kind of management class, and it's applicable to lots of different sectors. People, organisation and technology. Again, it's a module that deals with change, very much focused on kind of how do we encourage people to embark on change approaches. So it might be through how do we influence people, it might be a little bit about leadership. We'll also look at issues such as training and social groups. So people, organisation and technology it is very much a kind of human-centred class. Now if you like the supply chain class as a core class, then you've also got the option to go a bit further and do strategic supply chain management, a popular option with many students. Now if you're more if you're good with numbers and you've got a scientific mind, design experiments for process optimization is a class you might think about. This class is all about how do you actually how do you know what's going to work, and how can you try things out, and how can you plan for change by carrying out experiments. And finally there, spreadsheet modelling and demand forecasting is something that many organisations find difficult, is this whole idea of forecasting demand. Some of you might very well have good initial basic spreadsheet skills, but this class helps you to actually improve your spreadsheet skills, but with a particular focus on the forecasting activity. So the choice is yours there for your elective class. Okay, the industrial group project, which I already said is worth 40 credits. And this is where you would be working for a real live client, a real company, and you would be working really like a consultancy team. And it's great because it gives you access to real problems and dealing with real clients. And to be honest, the companies love it because they're actually getting to see fresh ideas from your group. But quite often the industrial group project also gives the companies a chance to look at students, and it's not unknown for students to be picked up for jobs, people who have done well in their industrial group project. But whichever way, is a beneficial project for both students and companies alike. And finally, in terms of structure, if you carry on to do the MSc, then you would do a dissertation, an individual master's dissertation, and that's worth 60 credits. Now it's up to you the type of dissertation you do. Some people choose to do something that's looking perhaps at new techniques or new approaches or new things that are coming out of academic literature, and really kind of look at that in depth and become somebody who knows a lot about one of these new emerging subjects. Other students use the dissertation to do something more practical, maybe helping an organisation or studying an organisation and advising them again as to how they might go about improving their processes. So it's up to you whether you do it research-based, where you're spending more of your time, working on your own, looking at what's been done before, or if you're more practical in nature and you want to be out working with industry, then you can do that too. There's obviously a time frame for that. You start your projects early in the new year, kind of January, February, you work on it in where you do a justification, which is submitted in May. And then really, as I say, that's when the top class is finished. So the bulk of the work on your master's dissertation really happens between that May and early September when you submit. Again, master's dissertation gives you something very rich that you can talk about when you come to look for jobs at interviews. And that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you about the course, the university, the faculty and the department. In terms of staff, here's some faces that you'll probably see a lot of if you come and do the Masters in Engineering Management for Process Excellence. So there I am there, Jill McBride, and some of my colleagues, Alex Duffy, who specialises in performance measurement and design. We've got Thanos there, who is a specialist in supply chain, and particularly his interest is supply chain and sustainability. We've got Anoop, who's very interested in strategy and change within organisations. We've got Jose, who deals in some of the change tools we were talking about, things like Lean, Six Sigma and improvement tools. We've got Andy Wong there, who again does a lot in supply chain, but he does a lot of analysis of how to bring about change. And Derek Little, Derek does a lot in terms of planning, forecasting, and came from industry actually with a lot of industry experience. So that's the team. Now, where do our graduates go? Now, this is just a cross-section of some destinations of recent graduates. So a lot of big companies there that you'll know. So people like Diageo, the drinks company, Rolls-Royce, Jaguar, Accenture, the kind of management consultancy. So a lot of big companies do snap up our graduates. But at the same time, there's a lot of our graduates who choose to go and work for smaller companies or maybe even start their own company. Lat 56 there is maybe a company that you might not have heard of, but that was some of our past graduates who actually started a business making luggage initially was what they did. So again, there's a chance there to think about starting up your own business or improving an existing business. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you are interested in our Masters in Engineering Management for Process Excellence. And if anybody has any questions, then I'm happy to try and help. Thank you very much.